Well, good evening, dear Victoria Center. It is Tuesday, January 29, 2024.
And it's Monday.
No.
We're all here.
Can I start that again? Welcome, wonderful Victoria Center. It is Monday, Astro Cafe night on January 29th, 2024. And I know I would like to talk about eclipse planning. And I imagine that there will be some other things to talk about, because we always like it when lots of people say interesting things. So it'd be cool if anybody put up their hand and said, oh boy, I have a beautiful photograph, or wasn't that sunrise this morning fantastic, and things like that. But it's looking like I'm going to be starting because nobody is really coming up. We will also ask people to contribute to talk about the AGM and the 4 Mile social evening. But since nobody else is talking, guess what? You're going to have to listen to me. This is the common thread, I think. Okay, so we're going to go share screen and share. And Leslie's going to get lots of cookies. Yes, if you come here,
You get free cookies.
you get cookies. And we're going to go F5. And we're just fixing up the screens here in the room. There we go. Thank you, Alex. And let's just do a sound check. You can hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so on Saturday evening, we were invited to set up a team of 3 for games night, because they felt with quite some confidence up in the observatory that it was not going to be a great night for observing the sky, and it really was awful. And the crowds were quite small because, well, who would want to go up there on such a day? But I think we were about 40.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And so we had these 2 teams. On the right were the friends of the DAO. We see there Ben. Laura is a student at UVic, so a bit of a ringer. She knows her stuff. Although, look, Calvin next to Laura and Ben are also extremely knowledgeable. But they were up against Nathan Hesselman Melner. Anyway, our 16-year-old wonderkind, and Chris Gaynor and me. And I have to say, it was pretty well matched. I was so impressed with everybody up there. So Amy Archer on the left was our MC, and she set up a whole bunch of questions. We started off with a game of Jeopardy, and one of the hardest things was to actually answer with a question, and you got dinged if you didn't ask it as a question. The other thing is you had to answer it the way Amy had set the answer, and so sometimes all 6 of us started arguing with her, which was a bit mean, but kind of hilarious. Because you know, when the other team was right, you didn't want to get points that way. Okay, so I just want to show off this particular little episode. This was the second game, and it was awesome. We were not allowed to look at the screen. And we also weren't allowed to look at the reflection in the booth, so they had to put some paper over that big glass, panel back there, because we would have seen the pictures. And then the crowd gave us clues. And some of the clues were really ambiguous, like there's black And I don't know what the clue was in this case that made Chris feel like pressing the button. Because none of the rest of us were ready. Actually, you can see Ben's hand is just hovering there, ready to go. But Chris got this one way before anybody else. And he said the Eagle Nebula. And so then, there was a bit of waiting. And then he said, the Pillars of Creation. And we got the point. And that was a couple of seconds later. We were so impressed with it. Anyway, it was good. In the end, the friends beat us 4,550 points to 4,350 points.
Wow.
It was really a dead heat.
Well done.
So, and a good time was had by all. There were 3 games. There was a lightning round at the end. But yeah, lots and lots of questions and lots of hilarity.
So there were only 2 teams?
Yes, the professionals were scared of us.
After
There were no professional astronomers.
their promises.
And you know what? It would have been really tight up there. I don't know. I think if you're going to have 3 teams, maybe 2 people or another organization. I don't know.
I like the expression on your face, Randy.
You look kind of shocked.
I was shocked. I had no idea. That one was really difficult. The one that bugged me was they were describing a spectrometer, but they were talking about both a cheap one and a professional one because the clues were all over the place. And in the end, we all had it, except the word was spectrograph, not spectrometer. And that slowed us down.
Old word.
Anyway, that was really good. But that's not what I'm here to talk about tonight. We are, well, under 150. I'm a friend on Facebook of the Eclipse Daily from the Great American Eclipse.com. And so every day they put out something to get people excited. So we're under 150 days to go to April 8th. And as you see here, the path starts in the Pacific, goes through Mexico, and up through the States, and then it's a good chunk of Canada. And if you look at it a bit more closely, I just want to point out that here in Victoria, it will be 15%. So enough that it is worthwhile getting people some safety glasses so that they can look at it, but it will be kind of conceptual, kind of, oh, isn't that interesting? But it isn't going to be, isn't that cool? Whereas for everybody along this particular line, here's another representation of the same thing.
Complete with comment.
So I personally have not seen totality. I probably won't this time either because I'm going to Montreal, but that's where my in-laws live, and it's going right over their house. How can I not go there? Clever people are going to Texas, or an even cleverer people are going to Mexico, and the cleverest person is on a cruise in the Pacific.
Offshore from Massillon.
Saints are
Steady it.
yeah.
So this is interesting. These are the 10 most populous cities in totality.
Oh,
And
that's a good-
so I'm going to the most populous, to Montreal.
Yeah.
Toronto just misses it, and this is a big deal they have decided to make it a pro D day for the kids because they don't want kids walking home from school. It's right at the time that the kids would be walking from home. And so they figure they should make it a holiday. I mean, look, there's going to be a lot of outreach and messaging. And like my son, who's a teacher in Toronto, his whole school has already ordered glasses. So they're totally in. From Patrick, my son and daughter-in-law from Edmonton are going to see Niagara. Yeah, Niagara's right close, like they'll be about 3 minutes.
It's on the center line.
Yeah, whereas
Hamilton is actually off a little bit.
yeah, and Montreal, it'll be for 1 minute.
Yeah.
But again, there's reasons to be where the people you love live, so there you go. So why did I put this particular slide on? And I see a question from Susan Grady.
Sorry, that was an accident.
Okay, you can still ask a question.
She was trying to block the sun.
So we're not going to see it in Victoria.
Well, it's a 15% eclipse, which is
Oh.
not anything to sneeze at. It is a wonderful thing.
Particularly with the 15% chance of there being clear skies.
Well, there is that.
Just a little nibble out of the cookie.
Anyway, yeah, I guess the reason I wanted to show this is that it gives the times. If you look here, and that's pretty hard to see, but Alex has gone up to take a closer look. So what does that say there?
You need
3.5 minutes, I think.
3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You need to go to time and dates interactive map, and then you click on the exact spot you want.
Yeah.
Then you get your effortless.
2 minutes, 1 minute.
Anyway, as you get out, so
It's pre-made maps are not as good.
yeah, but you're getting up to like 1 minute
Yeah,
as you get to the edge.
usually the duration.
And so that just shows you in the most populous part of Canada, but people in Toronto, so that's up here, they're all going to be on the highway. And then, assuming that they get there, there's all going to want to go back home at the end of the thing, and it's going to be quite a mess.
Just
And-
like Oregon,
Yeah,
just like.
An hour long way, more than an hour long way.
Yeah, Oregon.
On the highway.
Yes.
Well, I bet 1 hour is lucky. I think it'll be more than that.
it was, yeah. that was
This
good.
was the day after it was.
Oh, the day after,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so I'm going to play this movie, but I'm not gonna, it's 3 minutes. Let's see, does this work? Is it gonna do it?
It's in a snowstorm.
There we go. Okay, so that is where, are you gonna, no, you didn't do it.
I minimized it, you gotta pop it up.
Oh, bother. I'm failing. How do I do this?
If you lift it up a bit.
Yeah, no, but I've got people's faces over where it is right now.
Double click on the banner.
Move
for-
the
for
people's
the-
faces.
For the video.
Just X that out.
Better.
Just hit the X, it'll go back.
Hit the X.
Okay, now, okay,
There's lots of.
Yeah.
there we go. That's what I want to do.
You started late.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going from Mexico into Texas. And so, yeah, and this is, again, where the clever people are. Austin, San Antonio and Austin, those are big. Anyway, I'm gonna jump ahead. I'm gonna jump ahead to, as we get to the Canadian part, because while I'm sure many people will be going to the States for this, I don't know the States, where are we going? There we go. Now we're coming in. So there we are, Lake Erie. I think being in a boat in Lake Erie or Lake Ontario would be pretty cool. And now
Where's
through,
Peter
Niagara-
Dennehy? He's, London isn't in that. Yeah.
no, London is gonna miss. What are you gonna do, Peter?
Kitchener or,
There's
I'm
Kingston.
going to Texas.
Good for you. Okay, there it's in Montreal, and you see, it's only southern Montreal that's going to get it. If you're in northern Montreal, if you're around Laval, you're hooped. Then goes through Maine. And it's going to come back into Canada. Here we are over PEI. There's a bit of Nova Scotia, just a touch. And Newfoundland's going to go right through totality.
Good luck observing it from there.
I hear there's sometimes they can see the sun.
So St. John's doesn't get it. No, St. John's misses it.
Okay, so back to the presentation.
Great video.
It's a good video. It's a good video. Okay,
There's
now
Joe on the video.
back to here.
Buddy with the cartel, it's in a low.
Oh dear, I lost my presentation. Sorry about that, guys. Let's do that again. So this is the kicker. This is the predicted, the median cloud fraction. So everywhere in Canada where you've got these warm colors, it isn't warm. It's a snare and a delusion. Sorry. my
You know
phone's
the
going.
best,
Likely spam.
you know the best spot though, as Jay Anderson pointed out, if you're going to be up in the Maritimes, is right on the east shore of Gaspé.
So
That's where the
Gaspé
cold
is
water
here.
is?
No, Gaspé is out of it.
Yeah, where the cold water, well.
So
further
south
down-
of there.
Yeah, in.
The
New
northern
Brunswick.
part of.
There's
Brunswick, I
a,
guess.
there's an area there with the cold water that he's maintains will be the best spot.
In
Of
Canada.
the worst area.
Well, that's very clever.
Because the cold water dissipates the clouds.
And you can see Texas is still,
So you really have to pay attention to the weather.
Texas
Because-
is at 50% is the median cloud cover.
Yeah,
So really,
50.
you know, being down in, what's it called, Mazatlan?
Mazatlan is on the center line,
Yeah, so that,
but all the way through Mexico. Actually, further inland would be better. Mexico.
yeah, and I see that you're at about 30% when you're offshore, Joe. But this is kind of the key map if you just want to go by averages.
That's Jay Anderson's map, by the way. I have a link to it on the website.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So this is what the RASC. No, this is what the
CSA.
CSA posted today. And then
It's very pretty, but gives you no information.
there's very little information. I agree. Is that why you were motivated to do one, Joe?
Yeah, I looked at it and I initially put that in and said, yank it. It's useless.
So if we go to
Looks like.
RASC Victoria. Then what you'll see is what Joe worked on this afternoon.
Yeah.
And it's a very nice,
Click on the title, get the full page.
here we go. Hello.
That's it.
Oh, that is it. Okay. So starts off with this beautiful John McDonald photo from 2017. And here is just a topographic map.
Shows the track.
And Jay Anderson is an Eclipsophile.
Well, that's his website. That's Victoria, if you want to know about it. You can click on that graphic if you want to make it bigger.
Oh, this is the time and date one that you said is so clever. Yeah. So, whoa.
You zoom in. Zoom in somewhere, it doesn't matter. And then click on the center line. Or Victoria, sure.
So what it says is 17% and
76% chance of cloud cover. So good
So
luck.
already the
76%.
moon is getting bigger. It was 15% a little while ago. Now it's 17. Maybe if we wait long enough.
Okay, well, I
But
was
you
just worried.
notice that's talking about Vancouver, not Victoria.
But the
Yeah.
important thing is it's in the morning here, okay?
Yeah.
So if you're going to watch it here, you want, will it be eastern? What's the azimuth? It doesn't say which way you're pointing. Anyway, it's going to be in the south. It's at 11:30.
That is on the other side of Equinox, so it will be a bit higher than like the sun is this week, for example.
Yeah. Okay, but then where else do we want to look? Like if I go to,
Well, what's Montreal?
I'm going to it's not intuitive. You gotta take it down to make it big. There we go.
Slow down.
Yeah.
So Montreal,
There's
and
the borderline there, yeah.
Where's the borderline?
they live, where do my parents live? They're over here, this area, near the park. And so if I click there, total eclipse
And it,
for 1 minute and 15 seconds. There you go.
Good.
Oh, it's getting longer for you too.
That'll be fun.
And it will be at 3:30. Okay, so nice in the afternoon for us.
Okay, look at Kingston.
Okie dokie. So we're going to go like, I have to go this way to go to Kingston. Then Kingston.
1-7.
You don't really have to zoom in.
No, I was just
172.
fooling around.
3 minutes.
So there you're getting what, 2 minutes?
3 minutes.
3 minutes, right now, yeah, there. 3 minutes.
Yep.
63%.
So,
In Mazatlan, we get 4 minutes, 30 seconds, one of the longest.
right, cool. What sort of plans do people have for April 8th?
Yeah, I'll be in Kingston.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
I'll be a cow.
I'll be with Joe.
I think I'll be there with you.
Yeah, probably.
A plan for partiality is not a plan for totality.
True.
I know Nathan will be in Texas.
Oh, good.
I'll be with Joe.
Who said that?
Bill.
Bill,
Oh, clever you.
my wife and I. Last night I was checking out all my gear to see what I needed to pack, if I could get, how small I could get my 2 scopes.
So which ship are you on?
That Princess.
Discovery Princess?
Yeah, the one you posted like about a year ago.
Yeah, good. I'm glad someone took advantage because.
I showed it to my wife
Wow.
and she said, I don't want to ever go on a cruise again. And so I left. And then about 10 minutes later, she comes down and says, so which side of the boat should we get a room on?
Good. And Miles Wade is going on the sister ship to ours, and he's staying on and going all the way around through the canal to Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, boy.
That's a big one. And you'll see the eclipse.
And will it move to where it's clear? Like,
Yeah,
does it has that sort
Let's
of,
hope so.
no, but they have as part of their plan to go to the best spot, or
Don't know. It's,
Well, they said they planned on the beginning, it was we were going to be docked. And then
Right.
they changed the plan that we will not be moored and that we will be in the like out on the water. So that I'm assuming that's so we could move.
no, I think it was because there were so many ships ended up wanting to be in that area on that particular day. They vacated the dock because
oh, and then
that
all
would have
the,
been nice if we'd been docked, but anyway, no big deal.
everybody's private yacht's gonna be there too.
Yeah, I hope they don't crash into each other.
Probably looking at the
It's gonna
sun.
be a bunch of them.
Okay, so the other thing which I was hoping the experienced people will talk about is what to do, assuming you have a clear sky. I hear a lot of people saying, don't spend your time trying to photograph it, because it's the people, that's the interesting thing to see. Just everybody's reaction is remarkable.
It is. People go a little crazy sometimes when they're under the moon shadow. They don't plan on it, it just happens.
The audio is as interesting as the video.
Yeah.
I hear Diane was going wild.
Yeah.
Oh, the whole field was.
She was, but yeah, she wasn't alone.
And it was primal.
Yeah, the thing that struck me in Oregon was the nature of the lighting. And the whole area at the time of the total eclipse, it was just awesome lighting.
How many were you
Well,
from the club?
Well, we were
There
spread
must have
out.
been 30 or 40, I was thinking 30 people.
Quite a few in Oregon.
yeah, I was in
I was in Idaho.
Where
I don't know.
Where I was, it was me and my wife and some campers.
Yeah.
Campground. Yeah, parked beside the road,
Hello.
about 20.
I think there were pockets of people. I was with the Hessers, and we were down at Oregon State,
Corvallis.
Corvallis. Yeah.
And all of Oregon was clear.
It was.
Well, yeah, pretty well. I mean,
Yeah,
it was interesting. The morning was kind of almost touch and go, and then, at the moment it was clear.
Clear.
An hour before it was clear.
We weren't in the prime area. You went to the prime area, Eastern Oregon. which
Yeah, I was in Eastern Oregon.
Much drier than we were in Western Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in western Idaho, and we were lucky because the next day we stayed. The next day was terrible that morning. So
Yeah.
24 hours later, we wouldn't have seen it.
You just
Oh,
never
boy.
know.
Okay, so,
yeah, that eclipse was nice pretty well everywhere, like people. The only person I know who was kind of screwed out of it was Nicole Mortellaro, who was in
Yeah.
Nebraska somewhere. And everybody else, no matter where they were, had good luck on the day.
I think as you went east, like the west was great, the central was not bad. And then as you got over into the East Coast, as it kind of went off South Carolina or wherever it went off, it wasn't quite as good there. That's what I heard. No.
Assuming you're land-based, I mean, you need to have a plan B. So if clouds are coming and you're serious about seeing it, you need to have a route plan ahead of time
yeah,
as to where you're going to go as an alternate. And then you're trying to escape cloud cover, obviously. Although thin cloud cover is not a killer, it's not a problem, but if it gets thick, it's not much,
Right.
not very rewarding. So there is that.
and if you are under cloud cover, I was just talking about this with my in-laws. Do you actually feel for that minute that it's night? Does it actually?
Yeah, I take a
It's a lot.
I take a little portable weather station with me, and there is a temperature drop
No, yeah,
when the eclipse is in totality. Yeah. Measurable.
Yeah, I think the important thing to remember is that the time of totality, time goes like crazy.
Fast.
You do not believe how fast it's over with. And that's why you hear all sorts of people saying, don't bother taking pictures. Because if you have to fiddle with them, you're wasting really precious time. I think I was in Oregon, and I think I set up 3 different things to take pictures, and I just decided if they fail, to hell with it. And pretty well all of them failed.
poor Chris.
But I didn't. The funny thing is, I didn't mind because I did spend most of the time looking at it and enjoying it. And meanwhile, standing next to me was Audrey, who'd never been to an astronomical photography thing in her life, and she got some good pictures.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't.
you'll never forget the visual, seeing the streamers going out from the sun. Like the photographs just don't convey it hardly at all, but seeing it with your own eyes, it's just incredible.
Exactly.
To me,
It's just
the
really
closest
weird
it's
seeing
not-
that eclipse sun. To me, it was like somebody applied the sun
or there's a hole in the
Oh,
sky.
Cream pie in its face.
Yeah. A
Yeah,
big black hole in the
I think
sky.
you really captured it, Gary. It does feel like there's a hole in the sky. There's
Yeah.
something really wrong about it.
Yes.
Peter JDK, I saw that you wrote something, but I couldn't see what it was, but why don't you share it with everybody anyway?
Oh, well, somebody made the comment that, or asked the question, if you're under overcast skies during totality, does it feel like night? And that happened to us twice. And I wouldn't say that I would have mistaken it for nighttime. It was dark, but it was like, late twilight.
Twilight, yeah.
It didn't feel like it was really dark.
Okay, because there's so much light diffusing in from outside the shadow.
I think that's what it has to be for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you see light around you, usually.
But it's bizarre.
I was,
Yeah, it is bizarre. Yeah, that's the thing that struck me in Oregon, is how it's nighttime, 360 degrees. Yeah. Really amazing.
We're going to be talking about
hear
this
that.
more. This is not the last time we're going to talk eclipse, but let's talk about eye safety. So we in the club have several hundred of the glasses, and we're encouraging everybody who knows people that are going to be looking at the sun to get copies of them. I have some at my house. Lori, are they at your place?
they're up at the center.
They're up at the center of the universe.
And I do have about 3 people who have specifically asked that they're going someplace and they'd like to have a few to take with them. And I've said certainly, absolutely. So if you are going off and you do need glasses, let us know. And we can package a few up for people.
I saw a really interesting presentation. There was the RASC presentation by an optometrist, I don't know, from like Western Ontario University.
Ralph, probably.
Oh,
Ralph
is it? Well, yeah, Ralph.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds right.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Anyway, he was on the design committee for these glasses. I mean,
And has been for years.
but he also said that the reason that it's so important is he's also been an expert witness in far too many trials, inquests and things, or people suing. Like there was a science teacher who thought that the glasses they use for being able to watch magnesium burning in their chemistry class would be acceptable, and a whole class received eye damage.
Oh my God.
And this Dr. Chu was the expert witness saying that was a terrible decision.
Reckless.
Negligence.
So
So don't be reckless
the
yourself.
thing about these is that they have been designed, they block the part of the spectrum that is damaging, but they don't block too much that you don't see anything. Because apparently there are some welders glasses that would do great for saving your eyes, but you still won't see anything. And so that also is not the thing. I think there's something called a number 4.5 or something, which they say is just right.
14.
14.
Number 14.
Okay, but better is these free glasses that we're handing out,
It's just Mylar, it makes it very
But-
simple.
but they are
They're
actually
certain.
designed, they have the right properties.
Keep in mind, you can take the filtered glasses off during totality. Just
Yes, don't do that.
Okay, so what is the exact time that you take the filter off? How do you know exactly when it's okay?
well, you need the,
When it's completely total.
you need,
Yeah.
you need the ephemeris for your area. Look at your watch, look at the sky and decide.
But what
If
do you,
you're on a tour or a cruise ship or something like that, people will be yelling out filters off, filters on. But elsewhere, you're going to have to be an expert yourself.
You just have to listen to the crowd go berserk.
Yeah. No,
Okay, but if there's like the diamond ring, is that still too early?
no, that's fine.
So how far before the diamond ring is okay?
Well, we'd have to play a movie and we could talk about it,
Okay, will you do that sometime?
I suppose. Whenever I'm not recording.
Yeah, no, closer to the event, but again, this is not the last time we'll talk about it. And I also think, Lori is, well, what is your position with the RASC, with the Eclipse?
Well, I'm on the national task force for the Eclipse with the RASC. And I'm also on the national Eclipse education task force for all across Canada.
And
Yes, so we've been making Eclipse resource packages, and we've been in the national education one. We've been really instrumental in going through to Newfoundland, PEI, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, making sure that that people there are knowledgeable about what's going on. And just to let you know that PEI, every single child is getting Eclipse classes in PEI, and every single person who works for any of the school boards, so bus drivers, caretakers, TA, and everybody who works for the boards are all getting Eclipse classes, because their Eclipse happens an hour later, so that they're not going to be at school. And so a whole bunch of things are going to be happening in the East Coast that are after school. And so they have been doing a huge amount of work on educating teachers and going into classrooms and giving the kids a lot of information, and things like the science centers and the even like daycare centers and libraries and community centers are all getting prepared and ready to be there, and be ready to help out families and children in order to be able to do that. So we've been working on this for about 2.5 years.
It's awesome. And then
Yeah.
there's this announcement recently that they're making several school boards in Ontario Pro D days.
Yeah, that they one I think it was Durham, and then about 3 or 4 others, and almost everybody in central Ontario is all the kids are going to be off, and literally it is liability. Is all they're saying is if the kids are not anywhere near schools, then we're not going to be liable for anything that happens. And so it's even more critical that we get teachers in the schools to talk about what's going to happen, and make sure the kids are really well prepared, and hopefully the kids will not be sitting on their phones, behind shuttered rooms, when the eclipse happens, and they're actually out there with a pair of glasses. It's a really hard one to do, because I think they're also thinking that if the kids aren't in schools, that there won't be quite the congestion on the highways for people trying to go and get their kids and all that kind of stuff at the end, because it really is at a really prime time for things to happen. So they're really trying to work with outside of school agencies. So all of the big science centers are doing things in Ontario. And you're right, Randy, everybody's going to be on the 401 and then the Queen Elizabeth going down into Niagara Falls. And then as soon as it all finishes, you're going to have 5 hours of jam-packed people going nowhere. So in fact, in Ontario, the Ministry of Transportation has limited or is going to be limiting the number of trucks that are on the 401 that day.
Oh,
they're actually they have switched it so that trucks that have cold trucks go on different routes so they don't get stuck. They have got with animals, any trucks that have got animals on them are being told to go elsewhere or not to travel on that day at that time in order for things not to be completely jammed right up. So there's a lot,
Yes.
like all kinds of things are happening like that around it. So, but Ontario will be crazy. I'm going to St. Catharines. So I'll be there
Yay.
3 minutes and 15 seconds. So. In cloud. Yeah. Anyway, I can give some more stuff next week, Randy, if we want to kind of do another
Or, you know,
5 or 10 minutes.
you choose a time, but maybe not right away. We'll maybe
Okay.
in March.
Sure, no problem. Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
I need to obtain a hitch receiver for a 2002 Saab if my trip is to be fully successful.
Good luck with that.
Does anyone have one? Yes, that's the structural component for a hitch. They are not available from manufacturers.
put an email out.
Amazon.
Yes.
Canadian Tire? No.
No, they're not available.
Amazon or eBay.
Only available used.
Let's carry on.
Let's talk about astronomy.
Yes, while we're still on the eclipse, I
Okay.
just wanted to mention that on Joe's page for the eclipse, they have a beautiful picture that John McDonald took of these helmet streamers coming off the corona. And I wasn't aware at the time, but the corona evolves fairly rapidly in a time scale of 15 minutes or so. So during the last eclipse, they had a lot of people with high quality pictures, and they melded all of these pictures together to make a movie or during the hour that the solar eclipse took place, and they could see the evolution of the corona.
Scroll down.
And they're planning to do it even more elaborately this time, and they've connected with people with cameras and GPSs and special lenses and all of this stuff. So we're gonna probably have a pretty spectacular movie of the corona from Mexico to wherever there isn't any cloud. You know, it's gonna be great. So
That's a great idea.
It's there, Randy. It's right in the middle on top.
Look at that.
You don't see quite that much with your eye, but pretty close if you have binoculars.
That's spectacular.
Yeah.
That's why people chase all over the world for these.
Yep.
And you look around it and, you know, what was it? I think there was a planet in the area and, that time and,
Stars.
maybe a bright star or something. I'm sure somebody's figured out what there is this time, but, I haven't heard
Well,
anything.
there's a whole line, Chris. There's we'll be able to see about at least three. And if you're in any space where there's where it's really clear right down to the horizon, there's a chance to see lots and lots.
Yeah.
So again, let's prepare. I think probably early March, a month ahead. Let's have another Eclipse Astro Cafe, and it would be great if people made presentations of previous eclipses and predictions for this one. I would really like that, okay? So this is gonna be the first, I'm gonna write it in my book, so it's official. First Astro Cafe of March is Eclipse night, okay?
It has so been decreed.
and on April 8th is a Monday. So Astro Cafe that night, all of the people who normally make Astro Cafe happen are not gonna be here. They're gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we might call that one a week off.
Or a training day for the others.
No, I think so people can, and I mean, if we're somewhere, we can go in.
That's right. It's all internet. We'll do it hybrid. I'll do it at
Yeah,
10 at night.
yeah. Might have some pictures.
There might be some pictures. Okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody have anything they'd like to talk about? Let's talk a bit about the upcoming club events. Can somebody speak to our AGM and our dinner out together? Can we, first of all, Chris, what are the, for the AGM, it's only Zoom because
Correct.
we have to do our elections and things with the Zoom, and so it doesn't work to have hybrid for the AGM, and we can get more people, and we have a quorum of 25, which shouldn't be difficult. We have way more than that just on a normal Monday night without anything on the agenda. So when we do have a Monday night with some important things, what's important on an AGM? Really, it's the financial report. That's what we are obliged to do for following the Societies Act. But we also get to celebrate ourselves with awards and things. And there will be an election. We hope with a full slate. You want to speak to that?
Well, we nearly have a full slate now. We've got people kindly step forward for the vice president, the secretary, the treasurer, the second vice president, the past president.
You
And
can't step forward to be the past president.
well, you can't get away from it.
But the past president,
Yes, you're right.
And then
past
there's
president can step back.
five members or directors at large. And what we're missing right now is a president. And discussions are underway, but it's an opportunity if you would like to deepen your engagement in the society. Please contact Reg Dunkley and we might be able to get your name on the slate. So give it some thought. I've done the job myself and it's a very rewarding experience. I got to know other rascals better by being involved in it. And there's a lot of really interesting people. So it was very rich in that regard. So please give it your serious consideration if that opportunity interests you. And I'll leave it at that.
You're a good salesman, Rich.
And I will say there will be a very active past president. I can assure you of that.
Yeah, this is a unique presidential thing because basically Dan Posey was the vice president. He was supposed to step into the position. And if you don't know, Dan is kind of the director arranging the provincial election this year. And he's made a realization that he's going to be super busy. And so he had to pull his name back for this year. So this is kind of like a 1 year, almost a caretaker's presidency to step in for Dan, and then he'll take over next year. And kindly, the past president is going to stick around. Randy has agreed to be the past president the next year. So if you're president for just 1 year, you don't end up being the past president that other year, unless you really love the job and don't want to relinquish it. So there you go. So
Or you're like Reg and have been president and past president for about 6 or 7 years now.
Okay, so 2 weeks hence, and the announcement went out yesterday with only a few typos. But it will be happening on the heavens, the 12th. And then we'll have a week with Astronomy Cafe. And then the following Monday, who would like to speak about that?
Well, actually, can I just correct you? The following Monday is Family Day, so there is no Astronomy Cafe.
Yeah, February is a bit of a wipeout.
Yes, it is.
we'll have the first Monday
next week. in other
next
words.
week, and then that's it for,
The rest of February for this venue.
for this type of Astro Cafe. So there is still Monday things happening, so it'll be 12th is AGM. The 19th, Family Day. Enjoy your family. And then the 26th. Who will speak about Formal Pub?
Margie, do you want to kind of talk to that? Because you're the person on the end of the list.
We have 22 people signed up.
Halfway there, almost.
That's what I
And
have.
Can you explain that just again just in case there's somebody who doesn't know the urgency in getting up to 50?
Yes. Actually, Kirsten can probably do that better than I because she very delightfully wrote the invitation and I sent it out.
Is
Oh.
Kirsten on? Yeah. Oh, there she is. Hi.
Yep. Sure, Margie. And in fairness, I got the information from Lori, who's the one who actually made the call to the restaurant. But what the situation was, we needed to get a confirmation of the actual number, and it came back as 55. Where if we had a confirmed 55 or could guarantee 55 to the restaurant, they would give us the entire kind of restaurant room space. I guess it's called the old tea room, and then we wouldn't have to share it with anybody. So that was the sort of the benefit of that. The challenge is if we don't hit the 55, it's not a problem. We can still certainly attend without having the 55. But at that point, the restaurant would just want to fill up the space with other diners that weren't RASC. And so what that would mean is the restaurant would proactively try to fill up the space to fill it. And so people who then don't register in advance that want to just maybe see how things are going that very night, they run a pretty high, they might run a risk then of not being able to get in if the restaurant chooses to try to fill up that room with the 55. So the goal is if we get the 55 RASC, then we just don't need to worry about it. And yeah, I think, but Lori, please add if I've forgotten anything, please add.
No, I think you've got it. We've got the timing of it. So we're going to be meeting at 6 o'clock or starting at 6 o'clock. And then as people come in and find where they'd like to sit, and we encourage kind of mingling and all that kind of thing for sure, is that they'll be able to take our orders at the tables before 6:30. And then they said that they then would have everybody eating by, 6:45, 20 to 7 or so. And we should be finished eating by 7:30 or something like that. And then Randy will take over and be host for awards and other things that need to be spoken. Just again, as we put in the little note, if anybody has got allergies, there are some things on the menu that you'll be able to do that are gluten-free or things like that. But if you do have an allergy, I would really ask, that you possibly just phone the restaurant and just ask and make sure that that there is something going to be there for you to be able to eat. And the prices run from around 18 to, I get the maximum is about $27 for the for shrimp something or other. I can't remember quite which one it was, but that's about the price. So I mean it's not it's not McDonald's, you know, at all, but hopefully people will be able to kind of make that commitment for one night of the year. So we really would like, if we've got 22, Margie, is that what you said? That's wonderful. So if you want to invite, if you'd like to invite like a friend or a colleague or a significant other, you know, please please do, and just make sure that Margie knows. We need to give we need to kind of have that number by Wednesday before the Monday, so that they know whether or not we're going to be, whether they open up the seats to somebody else, to other people, or whether we're going to be able to fill the spot. Anything else I've missed?
Well before that.
Sorry?
At 55, does that mean there is space beyond that available for those that show up at the last minute? Or does that mean there is no space beyond 55?
Yes, if we get 55, they can actually take 65 in the restaurant.
Ah.
So, but yeah, that's what they said. Yeah.
We'll
So-
worry about the 65 if we start approaching it. Actually, it happened last year. Last year, the room that we wanted had a maximum capacity of, I don't know, 35. And so I was the one receiving the emails last year. And when we started getting close, I realized that it wasn't going to work. And that's why we had to be in the big room, with the Go players.
Yeah.
So that was the opposite problem. Their isolated room was just too small. We were too popular. But this time, yeah, please do. First of all, please come. It is fun. It is one time that we actually can all get together. And second, if we know ahead of time, then we make it easier for the planning. Okay, so back 2 weeks before that.
Freedom 55.
What?
Yeah, Freedom 55. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
At the AGM, one of the things that's really fun is we get to do a report of what we've done in the previous year. And because you have a president who does not do anything ahead of time, I am going to start sometime soon to work on this report. And please, all the people who have been doing outreach, and it doesn't have to be official outreach, it'd be really fun to have people give their anecdotes of when they happened to be out with a telescope and people came by or things like that. So anybody who has had Galileo moments, as they call them, drop me a line, president@victoria.rasc.ca, and we'll include them. And it's, you know, it doesn't change anything. We make a report to RASC National, but if we have more or fewer Galileo moments, it doesn't mean anything. They just want to be able to say, look, as a community, we are reaching out to the Canadian public. So we all get brownie points. So let's help me compile these things. And I guess while we're on that subject, we do have two big, seriously, nobody's going to show us a picture of the sky. There was nobody did any processing or anything cool, or there's nobody wants to talk about any spaceships landing upside down or anything.
That spaceship on the Japanese spaceship is functioning now. It's got charging up its batteries, so it's working. It's in the sunbeam for a while.
Yeah.
And are the instruments able to do whatever they wanted when they're upside down?
I think that it's going into the shadow almost immediately, so I don't know if they're gonna get a lot of stuff done.
They were just
It
so
took a
very
blurry
happy.
picture.
Yeah. They took a
Sorry,
blurry
no.
picture, but at least it's helpful. Now, they think that the reason it's on its face instead of sitting upright is one of the engine nozzles might have come off on the way down. So it kind of landed at an angle, but it still managed to land, which is pretty impressive.
It was only 75 meters off target.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Now, how about the other thing bouncing around on planets? Has anybody heard about the Ingenuity helicopter on Mars had a bit of a crash, so it's kind of done.
Yeah.
So it made 70, I think they made 72 flights instead of like 5 flights, and it's been going for a couple of years, so it's had a pretty good run. And it's also changed the way NASA's planning to use these things. They're getting much more excited about using helicopters and airplanes in future missions now.
So as an engineer, Gary, if something you design performs 20 times better than you planned, do you still feel like you did a good job?
Well, it all depends if you're trying to make money on it or not. In my engineering company, I'd have these young engineers spend 2 weeks on something that would supposed to take 2 hours. So you had to beat that out of them. But in this particular case, it's pretty darn impressive. That's for sure.
So yes, the big events coming up, International Astronomy Day. So all we have now is a venue. We don't have a committee structure or a plan or things like that, although we will borrow very, very liberally from the work that David and Laurie have done over the last several years. Can somebody remember the date? It's May
18th.
May 18th at the museum. And we will need lots of volunteers. But that's about all we can say for now. And then the Star Party. Interesting development today. Well, first of all, interesting development last week is Dave and I had a back and forth about the date, because I had thought that you people who like those little cotton balls in the sky really wanted it to be during a new moon, and Dave said, actually, probably the crescent moon the following week makes more sense for several reasons. One, because there's a moon, yay! And it's very close to the Perseid meteor shower, so we have a chance of seeing some meteors, which was super fun last year. And then the logistic importance is it's not the long weekend in August. And we're likely to get better attendance without the long weekend. But the bad news today is that Cowichan Valley Regional District has decided in their wisdom that they don't want us there anymore. They don't want anybody to camp. It isn't that they hate astronomers, they hate people. And I don't think, well, I think it behooves us to write a letter and say, are you crazy? We'll say that nicely. We'll say, we actually brought a lot of interesting people to your place that wouldn't normally go, and we left it as clean or better than we found it, and la-di-da-di-da. But they will probably still say, no, it's our policy. We don't want people in this field overnight.
It's always easier to say no.
So
What's this?
Yeah, it isn't just,
Dave?
oh, it just is, it's more than that. They don't want any events outside of normal park hours.
Right.
Oh,
Okay.
So it wasn't camping in particular. It was just, they don't want outside of park hours, which is 9 p.m.
Why? Well, that's the question.
Well, then
Was there something that kicked this off?
they decided, well, last year, I had a fair bit of difficulty dealing with them Because I think, and I'm not sure how the municipalities work, and whether the CDRD administrators are appointed from the municipalities. I'm not sure how it actually physically works, but there was a new guy in the job, and he needed a bit of convincing. But I was of the opinion that if we had a good event and left the park nice, that it would be a shoe-in. But for some reason, they're citing park capacity reasons, which just makes no sense to me. But
So, yeah, we'll try, but we
Yeah.
also have to have a plan B. And my immediate thought is that going back to St. Stephen's in Central Saanich makes sense. But I feel a bit bad because we were bequeathed this wonderful event from the Cowichan Starfinders, and then for us to leave them like that, it seems rude.
yeah,
Well, it's not our fault, and I doubt very much the Starfinders would blame us. They knew the landscape as well as we did.
Yeah.
That it was changing.
Maybe we need to bequeath a telescope to somebody.
Well, yeah, I wondered whether some event had kicked it off. I wonder whether this is to do with all the homeless stuff in parks.
I don't
Or
think
whether
so.
it's somebody just deciding, well, I'm gonna be lazy and cover my ass, and this is our policy.
I seem to recall Brian Robillard saying quite a few years ago that they were starting to have difficulty. And this is like, I think possibly almost a decade ago.
Yes.
So it's been a bit tenuous since I've been involved anyway.
Definitely, we need to look at a plan B. I mean, Cowichan Valley does have other venues we could use.
They made a couple of
So we just have-
suggestions.
We just have to do some groundwork.
They made a couple of suggestions, and I looked, and they're totally tree covered. There's no field, anything like what they have at Bright Angel.
Well,
There's some bay on the south side of Cowichan Lake, totally treed.
Yeah.
So
You
that's
don't
not,
want to be there anyway because of the.
It is a pretty sweet location, and I'm not gonna give up, but I just think at least concurrently, we should look elsewhere.
yeah.
And I don't know, but I, last year at the Saanich Fair, I don't know what the light pollution is like there, but,
St.
it's-
Stephen's would make more sense if you're going to Saanich Peninsula.
Oh, okay.
It is quite pristine there.
Yeah, and
And
the only
facilities.
problem with it previously was using it in late September or October.
Yeah.
And it poured rain.
We know
Whereas
that.
this time it would be on August 9th. Which, is a drought. So,
Well, that,
The Saanich Fairgrounds would not be an option. The farmers that use the fairgrounds when it's not having a fair on it are absolutely against anybody even walking their dog on it, never mind having people on it.
oh, okay.
Yeah, and even if it were, it's quite an expensive facility to use.
Yes, yeah.
Well, that's what was sweet about the Bright Angel Park, because it was a gravel pit, right? So it's got a gravel base. You can't do any harm to the ground. There's no drainage issues.
yeah, it's sweet. It was really lovely.
Any local merchants that we can do a little lobbying through that might make some money off of being there?
It might worsen the situation.
Anyway,
Anyway. we
I
need
just,
to
this
discuss
is
it.
news today.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so too bad.
And this one, we're far enough, and yay, at least for May 19, 18, what was it? May 18th, we do have a venue, and we can focus on that. So that's really, really good news. And we'll have a place, and we will have lots of time to advertise it. So just know that there are issues in our future.
Okay.
Okay, it is 2010. What about Metchosin for Star Party? Asked Malcolm. And I gather wind is the problem up that way.
Mhm.
There's been
The Mistral.
there've
kills
been
us.
words of criticism.
It was quite dark. It was quite nice to see, but it was rather brutal.
And the community is supportive, but you're
Yeah.
right. That wind
Yeah.
just killed, like literally knocked over telescopes.
Yeah, that's not good.
And my tent.
Yeah,
Well,
you're,
Poop, poop. Yeah.
and you weren't the
Yeah.
only one, Lori, as I recall.
No, I know. I know.
Low down on that one.
Anyway. Yeah.
What
Okay.
time was that happening? What month was that?
Late July or early August, same time as this.
Wow.
Summertime.
Yeah, so it was always the time, it was always windy, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty consistent. Yeah.
The wind is generated by a slab of cold air off the Pacific and intense heating in the interior. And so it sucks all of the air through 1 to Fuca Strait in the late afternoon, just right when you're all ready to get ready for your start party. And it doesn't normally taper off until the early hours of the morning. So it's
And it intensifies by going through a little gap in some rocks and it just, it's amazing.
I can't remember our poor speaker one year. I think she nearly froze because it
Oh,
was
yeah.
so cold.
She wasn't dressed for it.
No, and she wasn't dressed for it. And suddenly the temperature plummeted. It was,
Anyway.
Okay, I think in that case, we can continue schmoozing here in the room and we will call this a
Wait.
wait.
I have a Metchosin things.
Yay! Bill is going to hold the
I have two Metchosin things. One is real Metchosin, one is Metchosin adjacent. So the real Metchosin thing is, so over a decade ago, I wanted to get rid of the streetlights in Metchosin or turn them into full cutoff. And talked to the Metchosin Environmental Impact Committee and all that. And I was actually successful in my main goal of changing the streetlights. But they also wanted this thing where I was supposed to write a big report and talk about all aspects of light and pollution and all that stuff, which I did. And it got shot down because it was touching personal residences and things like that. But so I was happy with what I had done, and they wrote a few policies that were good at the time, but with creep and time and nobody really paying attention to anything, there's been some bad actor stuff going on with light. But there's a RASC member, Ted White. Nobody would know who he is, I don't think. He was on the Robotic Telescope Committee and all that in the very beginning. But he's decided to reapproach it. He approached me a couple of weeks ago and he'd been talking to people. He's going on the avenue of bragging rights. So he's trying to get International Dark Sky Association municipality certification. So he's approaching on that aspect. He's not doing the RASC one. It's too tight and way too hard and it won't fly because Metchosin is a very don't tell me what to do with my yard light kind of thing. So he's approaching it in a different, so that has started up. He invited me to a meeting that he was going to again with the Environmental Impact Committee, the new people on it. And so they're giving support, but they don't have, so they'll support us if we have some reasonable expectations for them to bring to council. So that's sort of where that started. It is just in the early phases and it will take some time, but there are a lot of people. We have a new mayor. Our old mayor was very libertarian and our new mayor, she's an actual scientist and does things based on reality. And so we're hoping for progress with this to change the lighting on some of the municipal, it's about the municipal buildings because they put some with the new LEDs and all that. They put wall packs on that just shoot sideways. And so we're just really going from that aspect. Do you have a question, Patrick?
Bill, include me in whatever you want to do, and the other guy you really need to talk to is Patrick Earl, because he's dealt with that.
Yeah.
Elsewhere.
Yeah, he's got his hand up.
Yeah, so I'm
Are
just gonna
you
put a link
in
in the chat
Metchosin?
here. I got an IDA designation. Just pulling it up here. Hang on. So I got it from
Where are you?
Alberta.
Okay.
It's the first international dark sky designation for Canada as an urban. So yeah, it was 109 page application. We did a 33 page light efficient community bylaw for the town. And yeah, we worked with Fortis Alberta, did a lighting retrofit of the whole town, and put in mandates for new development and grandfathering rules for existing. So yeah, I worked with IDA pretty deeply. So yeah.
And quite successfully too.
So Patrick, where are you?
He's here now.
I'm in Saanich.
Yeah.
And where was this action?
In Bonnecourt, Alberta, north of Edmonton.
North and east of Edmonton.
I should put you in touch with Ted then.
Yeah, I was even talking on the weekend here at the strat plan for the Friends, the DOA, even with NRC to look for a designation for the hill, like a urban sky park.
So send me your email. Email me. I'm WC Weir at Shaw.
Okay, well, I'll just put my email in the chat.
And by all means, Bill, keep me in the loop.
Yeah, it's Metchosin, so I'm trying to keep it Metchosin. and they don't always like people messing from outside.
Yeah, like, and if you go to the link that I sent, the application that I wrote is actually in there as a PDF. And it has everything, even the bylaw, because we worked on the bylaw from the Lowell Observatory from an ordinance on the US side.
Yeah.
Make it Canadian.
Yeah.
I've had some interaction with CRD as well, Bill, so.
Yeah, I'll pass it on to Ted, because he's the one that's going to be doing it. I'm not a person who does writing. He's owned corporations and he's a marine biologist, so he's better at writing stuff up. So I'm leaving it in his hands. I banged my head against that wall of people. When the initial application went into the municipal council, they badgered me, they re-edited me. I did a final one, and then they sent in the wrong one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so that was just painful.
Well, and we do have data from the other side. So we are doing sky readings pre-retro and post. So we have data for a community of 2 quarter sections made. We retrofitted 220 poles and made them full cutoff.
See, Metchosin only has, I can't remember the number, it's under 30 streetlights. It's under 30 streetlights. It's the lights that actually, the biggest problem right now is the lights that the municipality has been putting on their buildings.
Yeah, we retrofitted those in Bonnecourt too, including the public works yard. So
you're not going to get the farmer to take down his yard light, because he's never heard of a motion sensor. Right.
We took down farm lights on municipal property for the arena and everything, and we put full cutoffs before and afters of, and it's actually more functional, more secure actually.
Yeah. Well, I went all that route. Actually, and people who remember my initial application, the thing that sold them, and it's where I thought I would hit them hard, was that I showed them that they could reduce their electrical costs by putting in full cutoff lighting. And then I showed them how they could get rebates on switching their lights. And it was totally on money that I went on, because that speaks.
Yeah.
And it won. It got my streetlights changed from Cobra lights to full cutoff, and with high pressure sodium, so it was orange.
Yep. We actually went super warm on the admin building, so you get that, everybody looks like corpses look, but we gel on top of the.
Our streetlights now are LED, but it is the warmer LED, so that's okay. So my second Metchosin story is sort of Metchosin adjacent. Has anybody here ever heard of that Venus has a moon that's called Zoozbe? Or will become Zoozbe? Okay, so now I know that there are no fans here of the podcast Radio Lab. Has anybody here ever heard of the podcast called
I've heard of Radio Lab. I've heard of it.
Okay, so I would rather people listen to the most recent episode of Radio Lab. It's about, well, the reason it's Metchosin adjacent is one of the hosts of the podcast now. It used to be Jad Abumrad, who has done a lot of podcasting, but it's been handed over to a couple of younger people who've worked on the show for years. And one of them, Latif Nasser, he was a student at Pearson College about 20 years ago. Okay. And now he's a host. And he discovered when he was it was about a year ago, so it's taken time for this to work through. About a year he says in January a year ago, he was putting his kid to bed and he was looking up at this poster on the wall of the solar system that he and his wife had bought. And he's just sort of staring at it and he noticed that there's this little kid, there's this little dot next to Venus labeled Zoozve, Zoozve. And it's like listed, it's looked like a moon of Venus. And so it's his looking into what the hell is Zoozve? I've never heard of a moon on Venus. And it's real. It's real. Only it's not really Zoozve. It's an asteroid, but it's now, and Peter Jedicke, you'd like this, it's in the middle of the process of getting actual name of Zoozve. And it was discovered years ago by Brian Skiff, one of the guy who works at Lowell Observatory in Arizona. And he was the one who, when he was convinced by Latif to submit the name, Latif wrote 300-word application letter to the people who approved the names of why it should be named Zoozve. And Brian submitted it. And so it's in the middle of the review process right now. But it's a very interesting story because Zoozve, which we hope it becomes its name, is a completely unique asteroid in our solar system. It's a very cool listen.
Cool.
Well,
thanks, Bill. Have to look at that.
Very good news items, Bill. Thank you.
I just put the link. I just put the link into Radio Lab in the chat.
Yeah, the most recent one. It's just called.
Yeah, it comes up with the most recent one.
Yeah.
Okay, I will listen. And I think
it's got real science in it. It's got real science in it.
With that, we will call it a day, and looking forward to seeing more of you down in the Fairfield Community Center so you can eat our cookies.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everybody.